1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, my name's Pete from the Film Industry Pro podcast. Today I'm doing a microphone comparison test between a mixture of different microphones, a mixture of exterior and interior, just so that you can get a good idea of just how each one behaves differently. As I know, a lot of people tend to use sort of shotgun mics as interior mics. Maybe it's down to budget or just lack of time to prepare and swap microphones and things like that when you're running and gunning on certain shoots. So, different microphones I've got. I'll tell you what, before I mention the microphones I've got, we're in a pretty sort of cool bar. We're in a whiskey bar today. I thought I'd test these mics out in the field rather than in a controlled sort of studio environment, which wouldn't actually give us an idea of how these microphones are performing when it comes to noise rejection and reflections of ceilings and things like that. So we're in the basement right now, the basement bar, and upstairs is a bar that's actually open. So you may hear a few footsteps going on upstairs. There's a low rumble of some music. You might hear some chairs sort of being scraped across the floor. And down in the basement, over to the side there, behind a wall, there's quite a bit of sort of just a general sort of white noise, which I'm assuming is the beer pumps and things like that. So we can imagine that could be anything behind there. It could even be sort of air conditioning and things that we can't usually or typically control in quite a lot of environments, even in what's supposed to be a controlled environment, like on commercial shoots. One in particular I was on recently, couldn't get the aircon switched off, which is when I really started thinking about which microphone would be the best to kind of reject that kind of noise. So the microphones I'm using today are the CMiT5u by Schoeps. I'm also using the sorry about this. So I'm using the Schoeps CMiT5u. I'm using the CMC641. That's the one I almost forgot. We're using DPA 4017B. I've got the MKH416, the MKH8060. I'm also using the Sanken CS3e, the Sanken CS1, and I've got an MKH50 in there. So I'm hoping I haven't missed any microphones out. Let me just double check there. No, that's all microphones. So here I am. I'm stood in this room. I've chatted long enough there, so you would have been able to listen to the different comparisons as I was chatting there, going through everything. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a step back, just to give you an idea of a little bit of the reach. So that's just one step back. So I'm a little bit off mic. Some of these microphones have got different polar patterns. Obviously hypercardioid, supercardioid, and the shotguns have obviously got the hypercardioid / supercardioid with the lobe at the back, which will interfere with reflections off the ceiling. The sidewards rejection may not perform as well because we've got reflections off a nearby wall, which is probably about 8-10 foot away from me there, and then obviously the floor, the ceiling and the walls all together react differently. The more sort of interior mics like the CMC641 and the MKH50 and the CS1 are more cardioid, and they should be able to pick me up. There should be less sort of frequency losses for me stepping away. Now, to really give you an idea of me stepping off mic, I'm going to step over to the side. Am I okay to step this way, Ed? Ed's the cameraman. So hopefully this will give you an idea of just how it sounds in a room like this, really off mic. Again, there's a lot of noise there. It's not going to sound great at all. And so just to give you an idea, I did a test with all the microphones as we were setting up. I set all the levels to the same apparent loudness. You may have seen a clip of me there actually doing that as we went along, and they were pretty much all bang on. Not perfect. There's going to be a slight difference on each microphone, but in a moment I'm going to give you 30 seconds of silence, and I'll show you the levels between each microphone. You'll see them all pop up, and each level is dramatically different. And it just gives you an idea of just how they're picking up room noise and things like that. So let me just step back underneath. So I've set these microphones at the sweet spot there, as if we had sort of perfect framing. We could get in as close as we can. And from your perspective, it might look like that one or two microphones is slightly off. If you're a soundy watching this, then you'll know that usually when you typically see your boom operator or your sound assistant doing some booming and you're at a specific angle, sometimes it can look way off until you sort of step around to the side and you can see actually they're pretty bang on. So I'm looking almost down the barrel of each one, and so I've got them all grouped pretty close together. And yeah, so I'm gonna shut my mouth now for 30 seconds and we can listen to just how each microphone is performing in such a noisy room, pointing directly at me. Obviously my body is sort of dampening down some of the noise around me, so I'll stay in the same position and I'll shut my mouth now. Now they've decided to turn the music up a little bit louder upstairs. I was just looking at the levels on the 664 that I'm recording this on, and they were all dramatically different there during me not talking. All of the microphones, I haven't used any of the EQ cutoffs, the low cutoffs or anything like that, so they're all flat EQ. None of them have been interfered with. So you can actually download all of the individual audio files recorded at 2448. So you can have a listen and play with yourself. So if you bring them into a session sort of on Pro Tools or Adobe Audition, you can have a real play around and just and do your own test and comparison in your own time. Something I did when it came to the noise rejection thing, when I was stood silently, I just looped a certain bit and I just flicked between each microphone, soloing each track to see which one I thought performed best. There's also an exterior that I'm going to do. So if you look at that, again, same test. Outside I also raise the microphones a little bit higher, so you can check out just how well they reach. Unfortunately, in this place, the ceilings are pretty low. In fact, Ed, can you pan up slightly just to show how low these ceilings are? It gives the guys a better idea. I'm not sure if you can see behind me already there, but yeah, it's not the most ideal situation. Obviously you've got these beams, so reflections are a massive problem in this room. What I'm going to do is just to show you some of the reach within this room. I'm just going to sit down on this this box over here. Hope this doesn't mess your shot up, Ed. I don't think we planned this bit. So again, kind of in the ideal spot there in relation to the microphones. So this should give you an idea of just what the reach is like on each microphone. In fact, I haven't done this before or listened to the microphones in this scenario as I am now, so I'm looking forward to listening to these, especially the CMiT5u and the other Schoeps, which is the CMC641. Really interested in checking those out. But just looking at the levels as well, the MKH50 seems to be standing out to me at the moment. Again, looking forward to checking out all of the levels there. So hopefully you can get an idea of the comparison between each microphones right now. Again, download each individual audio file there. Find a part that you want to test with me talking and without me talking, and just flick between each audio file. The reason for doing this test is that it's very hard to be able to find all these microphones, get them all in one place without buying them or hiring them. Luckily enough, thanks to Studio Care, they've lent me all of these microphones to do this test, mainly because I'm going to be buying one or two of these microphones from them, and I thought whilst I'm doing this test for myself, I might as well film it and let everyone who's watching this have a good idea without having to go completely out of the way or just go off recommendations. I thought best to use your own ears and your own judgment. Most of the time it's down to preference, so rather than just going off what people say, which is what I tend to do in the past, I've always wondered which one is the best mic. I've always been told this mic is spot on for this kind of scenario, but then someone else has told me a different mic is the best mic. So rather than going off what other people tell you, you can listen to this and you can compare the mics yourself. Also, I think I may be able to get you a discount from Studio Care. They said they would help me out there, so Studio K are watching. It's too late, I've already said it on this video. If I can get this discount for you, I will stick it in the links. Now, that's not the reason for me doing this. I won't make anything from that, but I'll try and get that put in there for you. I'm sure Rick from Studio K is tearing his hair out now watching this. So, right, interior-wise, I'm going to move into 1 or 2 different interior locations, and so we can test it in smaller rooms, much larger rooms, noisier environments, and just give you an idea of the different scenarios. So there we go. Right, so I've just managed to get upstairs to switch their music off, and what I'm going to do is now give you another 30 seconds of me not saying anything, so you can hear just how well these microphones cope with noise rejection. Obviously, what I did previously wasn't the best, obviously, because you've got the music pumping up the levels up and down. So this now is much more controlled. We should have just a constant level of white noise from the bay pumps, and I'll put the levels over onto this side of the screen. Is it, Ed? And you can see the levels there of the noise floor basically for each microphone. Again, just want to let you know that all the microphones are at the same apparent loudness for me speaking, which means all of the noise floor should be, if they were identical mics, all at the same level, but they're not identical mics, so this is where we get to truly see how each microphone performs with just general room noise. So I'm going to zip it now and give you 30 seconds of silence. Okay, so just using the Wingman app there. Not sure if you can see that at all on screen there, but just looking at the way each microphone's performing in regards to the noise. Surprisingly, the MKH8060 is a contender with the MKH50 and the CMC641. So the MKH50 and the CMC641 performing very well. Yeah, so there we go. So that's a much more controlled test for that. So hopefully just this little bit added on will give you a better idea just within this room. So now we're going to go change location and check it out in a different scenario. It's a shame we haven't got more people walking around upstairs for the test, but never mind. Cheers.